Various suburbs in Durban flooded following the torrential rain overnight, while Inanda residents are rebuilding following a tornado there. A bridge has almost collapsed in the Pinetown area. Meanwhile, the Premier Nomusa Dube-Ncube expected to visit the tornado-hit Inanda to assess the damage. Newzroom Afrika's Karinda Jagmohan following this story for us, and she joins us live now. Karinda, good morning to you once again. So tell us whereabout you are at this point, and the government delegation, have they touched down?
Certainly. Good morning, Oli. Yes, I'm currently in Pinetown on Caversham Road. My colleague KZN Premier will show you the bridge that has almost collapsed for the second time. Last year it was also impacted during the April floods. Now we're going to speak to one of the owners of the property next door to this bridge. But as we do so, I want to remind you the government delegation will be in Inanda. They are there currently doing an oversight visit, and we do have eyes on that for you. But in the meanwhile, this gentleman is one of those that have been impacted by the floods. So thank you for talking to us. Can you just describe to us, as our viewers look at the devastation, what happened here in Pinetown last night?
So basically the canal couldn't take the amount of water coming down, and it overran above the gabions and caused huge damage to our properties.
This is the second time now. Last year it was, the devastation was even worse. What are your concerns about this frequent disaster?
It's a worrying factor because, as I say, I've just purchased the property last year and thinking it was a 1 in 100-year flood, and it seems to be happening on an annual basis. So yeah, it's very worrying. The council needs to get involved and deal with it.
You need a government intervention to deal with this flood disaster.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much for speaking to us.
No
Can
problem.
we just get your name and surname, sir?
Peter for sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Peter Fisher speaking to us there while my colleague shows you the devastation that has happened. And, I mean, just looking around us, again, we saw this very same scene in April last year where the entire bridge had almost caved in, and once again, it's almost a similar situation. Now, what has happened is there's a river coming down here. It's the Umgeni River, and when this river overflows to an extent where there's torrential rain and it bursts its banks, it bursts over this road, and the road cannot take the might of the water. As a result, the river will go down this way and destroy any infrastructure that might stand in its way to go to the adjacent stream that's on the other side of this bridge. Now, even around me, and maybe we can carefully take a walk here through this mud, you'll see that there are houses that are damaged. That flood damage occurred last year, and now it's damaged once again. So the infrastructure woes for the Pinetown residents, it only increases with every natural disaster. It's just over a year now, and there's another natural disaster. What has happened here is from early this morning, residents, or rather the eThekwini officials, they managed to patch up part of this road, so they are allowing some traffic through. But the entire area of Pinetown, it's gridlocked because of traffic, because of some of the roads being damaged with floods. So again, Inanda is one of those areas severely affected by the storm, with the tornado sweeping through that community. You've got Pinetown, Sydenham, Marion Ridge, parts of the KZN South Coast, all affected by the floods caused by torrential rain. Today it's a sunny day, but yesterday there were grey skies from around midday, and that storm started from the KZN South Coast, creeping up the coastline, and in some cases there was because of the eye of the storm, there were areas where it was sunny at one stage, and then all of a sudden you'd find rain coming through, lashing down on various suburbs, various communities. Today the cleanup operation continues, but once that government delegation in Inanda briefs the media, we'll give you an update on what they have to say and what they're going to do forward. Clearly, what's interesting is that government delegation came here to Durban for various reasons. The Minister of Human Settlements was going to do a handover of houses in Isipingo, government houses that were promised to residents 13 years ago to be handed over, 360 houses, but her visit has now been, the itinerary has changed because she's gone to Inanda. The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee to deal with floods, we're going to be in KZN for the rest of the week to deal with how government has dealt with recovery following the floods last year. They've now changed their itinerary to go to Inanda to deal with the situation now. So what we're seeing is there are recurring natural disasters, and clearly there needs to be another way forward to find a way to ensure that all residents, especially those who are living in houses that cannot deal with the effect or the impact of disasters, how they can be assisted, whether it's stronger building materials or to be moved to a better living space. We'll give you more updates throughout the day.
Karinda, if you still can hear me, before I let you go, talking about a government delegation, yesterday I thought I saw postings on social media of the ANC's secretary in the province of KwaZulu-Natal talking about, quote-unquote, a cleansing ceremony. Is that something that you are able to firm up for us? And if so, what kind of ceremony would we be talking about here?
Certainly. Well, as I just chat to you, I'm going to move out of the way because of the vehicles that are here. So that comment was made at a media briefing by the ANC and other coalition or alliance partners, let me say that, where they were asked about continuous political killings or killings in this province. Remember, we've spoken about the spate of violence, not just related to political killings, but as well as criminal elements. So there's been massacres in the province related to either drug trade or gang violence, but just a number of murders almost every week. There was a political killing that happened further up north. Just earlier this week, there was violence in Wentworth, and so that question was raised to the ANC representatives of how to almost resolve this. And one of the points they made was on a religious or a spiritual level, saying that there needs to be a traditional cleansing ceremony for the province. This would, of course, involve traditional leaders, religious leaders coming together to pray for some sort of higher intervention, I assume, in order to assist with really just the violence that we are seeing. But that, of course, would perhaps stretch to the natural disasters we are seeing too. But that question was related to violence in terms of the gun violence in this province. But really, KwaZulu-Natal has been through a lot over the past years. Looking at 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic, the first case in Hilton, KwaZulu-Natal, the July unrest where over 300 people were killed, dozens or thousands of small business owners lost their businesses, people lost jobs. And then, of course, we have the April floods. This year we've got the tornado in Inanda. But while this unfolds, a number of murders that happened. We remember the murder of AKA Keenan Forbes, brazen attack, and that was just one that was highlighted among a number of deadly incidents that have also ravaged the province, and the police say they're concerned about gun violence as well and the proliferation of illegal firearms. They've got a task team to attend to that, but clearly what the ANC says is, looking at the devastation this province sees almost every year, every week really, perhaps there needs to be some high intervention, and that's what they're referring to.
Karinda, Jagmohan, thank you very much for clearing that up for us. And the secretary of the ANC in that province talking about a cleansing ceremony in relation to the murders that have taken place in that province, the massacres. So that's the context.